Hi guys, as we continue working through this semester, the portfolio is always on the horizon. And so last week we talked about entry slips, and you had the opportunity to write one entry slip that you had for a previous paper, either the descriptive or the narrative paper, which have both been completed. And now that you've had that instruction, you can continue writing those entry slips as we go so that you don't have to wait and do everything at the end of the semester. This presentation is about the student introduction, which is what is going to go at the very beginning of your portfolio, probably behind your table of contents. And I wanted to give you a heads up because I've referenced it a couple of times in the entry slip, and so I wanted to kind of give you a heads up. And always know that after you have been presented with this, you can always start working on it. It's technically not due until the end of the semester, but do know that it's out there for you to get a head start if you wanted to. Sorry about that. To start off with, what is the student introduction? Number one, its main purpose is to introduce the content of the portfolio, which is your body of work that you have created this semester. And so it also will establish an organizational metaphor that's going to unify the entire portfolio. So you're going to have to try to pick some kind of a theme or a metaphor that kind of represents you and your journey through this semester, and do that in a creative way. What are the requirements for this student introduction? Most of the time the student introduction is between, I don't know, I'd say a page and a half and 2 pages. Some people can do it in one, but a lot of times it's more around that page and a half mark. And these are the things that you need to do in that page and a half. Number one, you need to introduce your portfolio's main theme or the metaphor. So talk about what metaphor you chose, why you chose it, and you can get as creative as you want with that introduction. Number two, you are going to introduce each paper that is going to be found in your portfolio. Most people do that in a paragraph. And so they'll start with a paragraph about their descriptive paper, and in that paper they'll kind of talk about what they wrote about and why it fits that particular part of their theme or their metaphor. Then they'll go into the narrative paper and they'll talk about what they wrote about and why it fits that particular theme or that metaphor. At the very end of your introduction, you will include a paragraph that will get us ready and excited to continue what's to come, to continue reading what's to come in the portfolio. And I keep talking about this theme or this metaphor, and so what is it? It is a way for you to make the portfolio your own, and also it will allow for a ton of creativity. And again, you can be as creative as you want with the theme. Most of the time, people will choose something that in some way connects to who they are. And so in the past, I have had people who have been really involved in sports, baseball or football, and they have chosen aspects of a baseball or a football game to include as their theme. So their theme was baseball or their theme was football, and some would choose professional teams. So maybe their descriptive paper is the Chicago Bears and the narrative paper is the New York Giants. So they've done things like that. They've also done aspects of the game. So maybe their descriptive paper is their first down. Maybe their narrative is their touchdown. So those are some sports related themes. People have done things in terms of their life. So they have chosen, their entire biography. So, narrative is my birth paper. My first birthday is my narrative paper, and so on and so forth. Other people have chosen books or movies to kind of represent them. So they might pick a Disney movie, The Lion King perhaps, and each paper is a different character. Other people have chosen just Disney movies in general, and so narrative is Lion King, descriptive is Aladdin, and so on and so forth. So the sky is the limit. I've never had a portfolio or theme that has been wrong. So it's however you can make your theme connect to you and also to your writing throughout the semester. Now, when I talk about the theme, your papers are loosely tied to the theme. And by loose, you can make almost any connection work. Some people will choose a content connection. So maybe I had one student who several years ago wrote every paper about hunting. And so his portfolio theme revolved around the idea of hunting. And so it was a content connection. So you can have all of your papers relate on a content connection, or you can have one paper connect on a content connection or have zero connect on a content connection. So your content does not have to dictate your theme. That's kind of a common misconception that makes it really hard if that was the case. So that is not the case. Your content does not have to dictate your theme. Some people, number 2, have done a writing process connection. So they have said, well, the hardest paper for me to write was the persuasive paper, and in my life, the hardest year of my life was when I became a teenager, and so that's their connection. Again, it's very loosely connected. Some people will choose to do a grade connection. So my best paper was my diamond paper. Maybe I chose to do a jewelry box theme. My diamond paper is my best paper because it was an A and it's the most valuable. And again, that's a grade connection. You could also have some kind of other connection. If I go off of that diamond theme again, maybe I'm choosing my persuasive paper as my diamond paper because it's the one that's the most valuable to me. It's the most special. It's the one that's most prized. And again, you can have any connection to any part of your theme. And usually the easiest part is to pick a theme and then figure out how all of your papers will fit into that theme. We will write 4 very formal papers. So we've written the descriptive, the narrative, you're working on your how-to, and we still have the persuasive yet to write. So those are the 4 main papers. You also will have to include in your theme in some way the diagnostic paper, as well as an extra inclusion, something that you've included from another class, perhaps, from one of the discussion boards that we've included. Maybe you're going to type that up and include that into your portfolio. So there will be a possibility of having 7 options for you to include in your theme. All right, then the last piece of this slide is that the theme is mentioned briefly in your entry slip. And I know that I mentioned that in a couple of comments, and I also mentioned it in the video about entry slips. But it is mentioned in the entry slip only to remind your readers of how it fits your theme. And so it's brief. It's a 1 to 2 sentence explanation. So, welcome to my descriptive paper. This essay fits my theme of baseball because ... and then you'll include the connection. So again, it's very brief. It's not identical to what you wrote in the intro. I don't want you to copy and paste the intro from your, or the paragraph from your intro into your entry slip. That's not what I'm wanting. I want a condensed version of that. So that's a little bit about the student introduction. If you have any questions, you can consult your book. You'll find that on pages 16 through 20 is when you'll find, or where you'll find an explanation of all the portfolio requirements. You'll also find examples on pages 71 and 72 in your textbook.